Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Breaking the Code. My name is Tim. This guy over here is Jamie, and we are all about one topic, no script. And today it is going to be digital versus physical. Now, before we get started, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and follow us on all the socials if you can. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, right here on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, and Discord. All you got to do is type in the Codex Station, and that is where you'll find us. So, Jamie, how do you feel about digital versus physical?
They're comics.
That is very true. So
Thank you for showing up, everybody. No,
once again, ladies and gentlemen.
No, but honestly, with digital versus physical. See, you made me catch that. I can't speak bug.
Right.
But no, with digital versus physical, I have always, up until recently, I've always been the type of guy that I just need the copy. Like, I can't not have it in hand or in my collection.
Right.
Obviously, us doing the show over time, it's become more relevant to have the digital version of it because I can kind of do it everywhere on the go, read when I can, get everything in. But if I had to choose, it'd be physical. I mean, there's nothing better in life than popping open a comic, just reading it through, just getting away for a little bit instead of trying to stare at my phone. And like, okay, let's widen that a little bit more so I can read what they're saying here in this little bubble. But yeah, no, there's nothing better than going and getting your pulls and rummaging through old comics, back issues, even newer issues, trying to find stuff. I mean, the benefit of digital is that it's all in your hand and you have a category in a library. That's awesome. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking it. If you would have met me a year ago, I've been like, no, not
I
a
did
chance.
meet you a year ago.
Yeah. And I told you not a chance. And then we started realizing like, oh, we need to do this.
Yeah.
But no, it's always going to be physical for me. Like, I got my copies that I picked up today going through a snowstorm in Wisconsin for no reason. In
the middle of April.
Yeah, why not? It snows till like June here. So, I mean, what are you going to do? But it's always going to be that regard of having that issue in hand and being able to go through it, being able to read it. I mean,
right.
that digital takes nothing for that. Like, it's cool that I have a catalog of 20,000 plus comics in hand at any point given time. But it's always, for me, like, even when we do the shows, I always beat myself up because we'll pick an issue or a series. I don't have it. And now I got to write down every single thing we do because it's like, now I read it. Now I need it.
Yeah.
Whereas, the couple days before the show or the podcast, I'm reading it, through my phone or through DC Infinite or Marvel Unlimited, and not stopping. And I think digital honestly has taken away the fun of hunting.
Okay. And
it takes away the exclusiveness for cons and everything else. Like, yeah, you could pay, was it $7.99 or $8.99 a month and have everything in hand. But then you just don't have that feeling of like, I want this issue, I'm gonna go find it anymore. Now it's just in the palm of your hand. You're like, yeah, that was cool.
Right
like,
on.
You lose that nostalgia of when you were growing up and being like, okay, I got to rummage through this whole bin right here, this whole long box at the con for any con.
I gotta find Man of Steel number 18. I gotta find Superman 75.
Yeah, and you don't have that anymore. There's and that's why I feel like cons are kind of diminishing in the comic book aspect.
See, that's another topic of conversation too.
Yeah, and I'll bring it up on there too. You're not gonna find those people unless they've started like that. Once you're used to a certain way, you don't change. Like, you could say you can, but you can't. You really won't. You're always gonna go back to digital, or you're always gonna, say like, hey, I'll get those different times.
So let me ask you this then: with somebody that starts on digital, like in the time we are now, if a new person coming into comics gets started on like Comixology or Marvel Unlimited, DC, whatever, do you think that they're more susceptible to stay there and not get into the physical aspect of collecting? Or do you think that transition could be made into physical?
It's a double-edged sword at that point because of the fact that here's the thing, and I've said this plenty of times. If you guys go check out one of our decoding panels, it's one of our best ones. It's what if Wolverine was Lord of the Vampires.
Mm-hmm.
Funny part is you can't find that in digital form. If you go
No,
through
you can't.
Marvel Unlimited or anything like that, you can't find it in digital. So you have to own the copy to physically read it. Just like with DC Infinite. DC Infinite has, let's say Green Lantern, for instance. They have the Emerald Twilight run all the way through, but they don't have 46 and back.
Why is that though?
It's their library. It's how they do it. And that's the thing that bothers me is like, okay, if I'm paying this much a month for unlimited access, why don't I have that access?
Fair enough. Okay.
You know, well, when I can go to my comic shop or a con and just go through and be like, hey, I can find these issues now and I can actually read them. And I love the smell of old issues. I don't know about anybody else. It's a nostalgia thing. I can't help myself, but it literally will sit. I can sit there all day. I can spend hours rummaging. But once I can't find something on digital, it's like, why do I have this? You know, like, what's the point?
Now, I'll tell you before I get into how I feel about this, like before DC changed their digital comics library to whatever it is now, when it was DC Universe Online, I think, or something like that.
It was just DC Universe.
Yeah. Dude, that was really cool. I really dug that because they had it separated by characters and by storylines.
Well, it has the same aspect on DC Infinite. You can still do that. The thing that made me mad was you had it on Roku.
I had it on my Xbox.
Yeah, but the best part is I was reading the issues that I wanted to read on my 55-inch TV in bed, just clicking next for the pages.
Yeah.
And it was convenience. You know, I had the issues, but I was like, do I really want to mess them up taking them out? Or should I just read all these right here, right now? You know, and then once you couldn't find them, you're like, oh, why am I paying for this stuff? Like, I mean, it was cool because that was at the time of Doom Patrol coming out, Titans, all this other stuff, and it was exclusive. Now HBO Max has the rights to it, and you can still find it, but it's just the point, like, I would want it that back. Like,
well, let me dive into how I feel about this. So I have been a majority physical collector pretty much my entire collecting career, from the age of 12 until today. You know what I mean? I have pull lists. I spend more money than I should, like everybody else does at the comic store. And when you go in there for your pulls, you just don't go in there for your pulls. You have to dig in the dollar box. You have to dig in the back issue bins and see if you can find those ones to fill in the gaps, fill in the holes, or anything, as Sonny says, that you're on the hunt for.
Yes.
With digital, I agree with you 100% that it takes away that aspect of being on the hunt for something, or the joy of looking at a physical copy that you've never seen before, of a title you've never seen, and being like, what is this? I want to check this out, and being able to take it home and read it at your leisure. Now, on the same aspect of that, going into digital, you do have that, but like with Comixology, that's a great example. Regardless of how people feel about their format now and the things that they've changed, I've always felt that Comixology was the gateway for independent creators to get their stuff out to the masses in a digital format, because printing is expensive. But being able to have a digital copy of your book and throw it on Comixology for people to read is a fantastic idea. And I discovered a lot of different stuff on Comixology that I never would have thought of to see before. We Have Demons was a Comixology exclusive.
Oh, I forgot to pick that up this week. Thanks for reminding me, Ken.
And it's just now coming into digital format.
Physical.
Physical format. So there's that aspect too. And I read it physical first before I looked at it digital. Like, that was a book I had to read physical because Capullo's artwork, I think it just flies off of the page. And that's even another aspect of it with digital. You don't have pages, you have screens. And even if you set it up a certain way on Comixology or DC or Marvel, you have it panel by panel. And that makes it more thematic, I guess, or cinematic. But I think it kind of takes away from the aspect of sitting there and reading at your own pace and looking at each panel individually before flipping to the next page to see what's going on. Now, as far as like what we do for Codex and stuff like that, it's 99% digital.
At some point you have no you got to cross that line.
Yeah,
because there's some stories like we've talked about, like we might all have it, or one of us might have it. It's like, hey, you can check it out here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for those of you that don't know, we're doing, what was it? Punisher, Doctor Strange, Magic Bullets next.
Yeah.
So like I told the guys that, and they're like, where do we find it? It's like Marvel Unlimited.
Well, there you go. See, because I'd never heard of that before.
Right.
But now I have a digital outlet to go and look and check it out. Reading the Zdarsky run for Daredevil, I'm missing a lot of the physical issues, but I'm able to catch up as much as I can, with Marvel Unlimited and things like that, to read Zdarsky's run, and that is amazing to me. But see, with me, that makes me want to go out and get the physical copies to have in my collection, But let's dive into this a little more. So you have some of the hardcore comic fans, and that's a loose term, right? Hardcore fans. Those are the people that I think is when you get to the borderline of gatekeeping certain aspects and certain things.
Okay.
This being one of them, where they say it's only physical, digital will ruin the industry or whatever.
It's been ruining it since it began, they've been saying.
Yeah, whatever it is that they have to say, that they absolutely refuse to look at any digital comic book whatsoever. If it's not in physical format, I don't want to touch it.
That was me.
And even with decoding panels, I've had some comments like that where, I'll tell people, hey, you haven't read Punisher Circle of Blood or Dark Ages.
Why is that one the first one that's got to come on?
We're doing that on decoding panels, so you can go check it out. And in the monologue for each opening segment, I always tell people to pause the video and go to the local comic shop. I've had people tell me, I don't want people reading stories to me. I want to read it myself.
Yeah.
Well, hey, that's cool. That's fine.
That's your prerogative, man. Like,
about it, though.
Do whatever you need.
But so like you said, I mean, digital's been ruining the industry for 10 years now, or whatever the case.
Just like DC's going under.
Right, but physical will never go away, as far as my opinion goes. I don't think physical will ever leave, because there'll always be back issues, and digital, you can't pre-order digital. Maybe you can, like with the one format that people are going on to, that Hickman's on. What is that?
It starts with an S.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. It was a whole, we had 3 weeks of talking about it.
Right. Yeah.
Substack.
Yeah, there you go, Substack. And I don't know if you can pre-order on there, but I know you have to subscribe to. Yeah,
you have to subscribe, and then they send you a PDF of what they're doing and all this other stuff.
But see, even then, that stuff makes its way into physical, because
at some point,
because you have the digital readers that get first access, and then it makes its way to physical into local comic shops and so on and so forth. But I don't see digital as industry destroyer. I just see it as another way for people to get into books that either
their own medium.
Either for people that don't want to collect and just want to read, by all means, read, guys. Yeah. Whatever way it takes for you to read a book, either through Goodreads or the comic book apps or whatever the case may be, read. It exercises your brain, and it is very healthy for you to do, and it stirs imagination. But if physical is the way you want to go, then make sure you have your dust-free white gloves so you don't get thumbprints on the black ink as you turn the page.
People do that?
I have no idea.
I kind of did that with what was it? Firestorm issue 1. I bought that the very first appearance, and I was so afraid. I literally opened the cover, and then I opened the first page, and I kind of.
Do you use fingernail clippers to turn pages, or tweezers?
That's horrible. You are a madman, sir.
But no,
No, this episode's over after that statement. Like, I first off, you got fingernail clippers right next to you, kind of concerning. Secondly,
I have small children, so
that doesn't mean anything.
that don't
you know, what?
know how to clip their fingernails. But
Okay,
anyways,
we're getting
moving on.
into more personal matters that should not be on air. But no, it's the matter of as soon as I did that, I was like, I can read this digitally. I'm gonna do that.
Right.
And sometimes that's the best bet to go, because you don't want to ruin some of the issues. But my biggest problem with digital is the
Well,
fact
most of us will never flip through an Action Comics #1 or Detective 27.
I don't even want to
with
look at
our
one.
fingers, right? The
Like,
digital is the best
If I
way.
breathe
to
on
do
it
that,
too heavy, that thing can go like
right?
Thanos snap. It like Tom Holland.
Dust.
Yeah, I'm not feeling so well. It's because you touched it.
Mm,
No, but my biggest problem is that like even with newer comics,
mhm.
you don't get them for 3 months. It's always 3 months behind.
Yep.
On both, all three technically, all three services. And like if you're one of those people that wait, that's great. But for me, it's like if I'm gonna read it, I want to read it now.
Yeah, I don't want to be 3 months behind.
Yeah, everyone's gonna be talking about it, and I'm gonna be like, oh, well, I should have got it, or I'm kicking myself because of this reason. And that's why I'm always gonna, and to me, I'm always gonna be a physical, in hand kind of guy.
See, going back to Zdarsky's run, I finished Devil's Reign physical, right? Because it's not digitally released yet, so I had to finish that physical.
Right.
But the other stuff, up until I can't read anymore, it's all digital.
Yeah, and like I said, there's pros and cons to each,
Mhm.
but I feel like no matter what, like if you are a collector or you're trying to become one,
Mhm.
you got to go the physical route, obviously.
Mhm.
But if you're just someone that wants to, hey, I'll leisurely want to read, it's a good outlook for you. That's fine. Obviously, it broke me a little bit because of the show and everything that we have to do, and me having to keep up with, my two Tweedledee and Tweedledum co-hosts.
I don't know who they are.
Yeah, you're Tweedledee. Guess who's Tweedledum?
I don't know.
Yeah, geez, SK. I mean, but no, it's to me, it's just a matter of if you're gonna get into this, you might as well get into it from the ground floor, and the ground floor is always gonna be physical.
Right.
So, I mean, the last thing I'm gonna add to this is that, we're not for or against something here. We got an opinion, and that's what matters.
Right.
What you do and how you feel about comics, as long as you're in this world, do it. Get started. Doesn't matter where you start, just get started. I didn't know writers and artists or how numbering worked until I became so passionate about it that I was like, I need to know everything.
Right on.
So just getting into it, guys, is just the first step. Just doing it, getting used to it too. So
Right on, Jamie, and I'll throw in my last bit into the pile and say that I think it's safe to say that you and I agree pretty close on
it's a
this.
first.
Yeah, on this conversation, we're not yelling and screaming at each other. No, if digital is the way that you read, by all means read, and don't let anybody tell you that the way that you're reading is wrong, because it's not. If digital is how it is, then that's how it is for you, and you still get the same enjoyment reading the same stories that anybody else would if they read it physical. If you have to have a comic book in your hand, by all means do that too. Support your local comic shops if they deserve it, and give them the money to get the issues that you want and buy the back issues and things like that, and read physical. I've got physical copies sitting right here in front of me. Mouse, I didn't read digital. I read that physical. The Killing Joke, I read physical, but I will read it digital so I can read it again. All right. So, Jamie, before we end this episode of Breaking the Code, is there anything you want to say to our wonderful audience that is watching right now?
Oh, yeah. Thank you guys for showing up, obviously, first and foremost. Secondly, be kind to one another. You don't know what anyone's going through out there, and even a smile can just, change someone's day. So, obviously, just be nice. But yeah, guys, check us out. We're on every day almost now over there on YouTube. Here on Twitch, we're on at least 3 times a week now again. We won't be going live on YouTube anymore. It's just going to be strictly here. So this is where you're going to find us. So keep following so you don't miss us. And guys, follow, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell over on YouTube. Please check out our TikToks. We put a lot of work into minute videos.
Even Sonny's TikTok, it's amazing.
Sonny's is even good. He just forgets things. But yeah, guys, obviously, we'll see you guys in the next one. So take care.
Well, all right, guys. And don't forget, once again, find us on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, right here on Twitch, over on YouTube. We are on TikTok, and we have a Discord where conversation takes place. All you got to do is type in the Codex Station, and that is where you will find us. Once again, guys, my name is Tim. This wonderful guy over here is Jamie. This is Breaking the Code. We are the Codex Station, and we will see you next time.